Hi everyone, Sean here from the Sci-Fi Model Guy, and welcome to Chapter 6 of the U.S.S. Enterprise 1701D build from AMT. So in this video, everyone, we're going to be concentrating only on the nacelles and showing the amount of work that is needed to get the detail just right, especially near the front of the nacelles where we have some seam lines to take care of, some putty work to do, and a couple tiny little gaps of the lighting, and then we're going to finish up with a lighting test. This is a very short video, everyone. It's 22 minutes. I thought about extending it a little bit and showing some stuff in the saucer section, but that would have pushed it into 45, and I really don't want to do many 45-minute videos, so we're going to keep this one at 22, and I might release another shorter video in 4 or 5 days, maybe less than a week, just to get some more content out there for you. No viewer mail today, but I do want to call out Jody from Trek Mods. I just opened my email, and Jody sent me a link. He'd done a fabulous video on his Enterprise D build, the small one, where we show the explosion over Veridian 3 from Star Trek Generations. And at the end of the video, was totally not expecting it, but Jody gave me this nice shout out and everything. So I just want to personally thank Jody. Thank you very much for that shout out. That was very kind. He had some very kind words in there. And I'm going to again pin Jody's YouTube channel in the comments here. Please go ahead and check it out. It's a really good video, and he's doing some cool stuff that I haven't done or I haven't thought of doing, and it's very creative. So go check that out. I'm sure you'll get some ideas. I'm going to check out some more of his stuff. So keep it coming, Jody, and I really do appreciate it. That's it, everyone. The giveaway. If you've looked at other videos and you haven't entered it yet, go ahead and enter the keyword hashtag Enterprise. I still have to get around to doing the drawing, which I promise I will do very soon, and we'll get that winner selected. I just got to figure out a way to do it. Might do it live. Don't know yet. So anyway, everyone, enjoy this video, and we'll see you in a few days. So catch you down the road real soon. Bye. All right, all the boring is done, and I just needed to find a different little tool there. So this is the Dremel attachment that I used right there, and it did a fine job. Bored it out really quickly. So here it is, and it's wide enough for about 3 wires. 4 wires probably could go in here, but I only need 3 for each nacelle. So again, that's just coming right through the center of where that photo etch is going to go, and then up through the top. And if you can see here, I did cut a little notch there to make sure that's where the wires are going to go. And then on the other side as well, there's just a little notch. And this is good to go. So the next thing we're going to do here, we're going to, and I'll do a little bit of that on camera while we talk about it. And we're just going to mask. We're just going to put some masking tape over here, just loosely. And we're going to be going over and priming this here in just a minute. We're going to do that tonight. I love when I get to start priming because that's just when, you know it's all starting to happen, Hopefully you're all out there and hopefully you agree. If you've done stuff, like when you start getting to be able to paint, the lighting's done, the priming's about to start, that's the good time right there. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm just covering where the windows are and then the lighting, of course. And I'm going to go ahead and prime all this stuff. I'm not worried about any buildup here from paint. I can always go in and just kind of sand it out with a Dremel again. So white primer over here, as well as on the underside there. We're going to get the primer going. And there's a little comment there, that little hole right here. There's going to be a little piece of fiber optic going down in there. That's going to be a strobe light. And we're going to connect that with a strobe light to a flashing 0805 SMD that we're going to attach somewhere over here. So that'll be kind of cool. But yeah, that's it. And the nacelles are over here. They're still drying. I just, I recorded that section, about an hour ago, and they're, like I said, they're going to sit here overnight and get a nice good grip on here, and we're going to be able to attach those. But that was the other thing. These have already been painted, everyone. So I already painted these in the light gray, and it came out really nice. I'm really happy with the way that looks. They got a little bit of a smudge there, so I'll just have to. I'll probably just decant some onto a piece of tape or something, and then paint that right over. You won't even see it. Probably there will be even a decal over that part. So anyway, that's it. So I'm going to take this over there and keep having fun. I'm still having such a blast with this, guys. I mean, it's such a fun model, and I hope you're having fun either building along with me or watching along with me. And if you're into Star Trek, everyone, I do hope you consider getting this kit. It's proving to be quite a bit of fun. So catch you soon. All right, everyone, it is the next morning, and the nacelles came out really nice. I'm very happy with it. The little bit of CA glue that was put down, it did not smear out, and the lighting test came out really nice. So there we are. You can see around here that there are no gaps that can be seen. There may be a tiny one right over here, and a little bit, you can kind of see that. That might be a little bit of a spot, so we're going to cover that with some putty. And there again, there's some more. We're going to have to be very, very careful with that, though. I might even do that with some CA glue. I'm not quite sure yet. So we'll try putty first, and then if that doesn't seem to work, I can kind of punch it through a little bit because it'll be crusty. But that's a pretty decent gap. So we may need to use a little bit of CA glue to kind of cover that. Not quite sure yet, but it's minor. So yeah, it came out really nice, and the purpose of this section also is just to show you here. So we've done some sanding work, and it came out pretty good so far. So you can see there's no apparent ridges there. Well, there's the ridges, but what I mean, there's like no offset of these pieces. I was able to sand that down pretty well there too. And the part I'm talking about here is right in here. This was the hard part, and this is the part because these things don't always line up just right, and to get them to be nice and smooth is difficult. But I think I found a good technique here. So we've got the other nacelle that I have not yet done. You can see here that you can just see this chunky gap. You can see the ridge here that I'm talking about, this little offset right there. See, there's this little black bit, and if I were to get a stick or something, you can hear this. You hear that little clicking sound. That means it's going over there. And sometimes I use my fingernail for that. Like I'll just run my fingernail over, and if I can hear it click or feel it, that means it's not even. So a lot of times what I'll do even is just close my eyes and feel it. And so like right here, this is pretty apparent. So we're going to take care of that on this section. I've got in front of me here just a few of the tools that I'm using for this. So this little guy here is just it's a little blower and a duster, and I'm just using that to brush away the residue and the dust that comes off of it. My cousin Randy gave this to me, as he's given a lot of the tools to me, and I think this is actually just used to clean guns out and stuff. Well, it can be used for a variety of reasons, but I think that's what he was using it for. But he had an extra one, so he gave it to me, and this really works for, just getting these things out of there without using canned air or something. And then here there are two different sanding sticks. This one's, I think, 180 grit and 150. The darker ones are more coarse, and then these white ones are finer. So the coarse one, I'm going to have to use on this part here, these outside bits right there, because I can, just from my experience on the other one, I had to use this. So here we go. And we'll just, oh, sorry, one other little piece of tool. Not that one, this one. This is a little sanding needle, and this is going to be really useful in getting the troughs in here. So you can see right here, this is the groove, the lower part of it. Well, when we sand it, we're going to sand the top offset and get that even, but the bottom part is also going to be offset a little bit, and this little sanding stick will help minimize that. It's a little bit flimsy. I mean, it's not perfect, but it will do. I think it does a good enough job to where we won't be able to see it. Okay, so we're just going to show here. Let's realign the camera, and I'll zoom in a little here, just to kind of show you what we're doing here. So I'm not going too rough, not going too fast, and it's easy to want to rush through this process because you want to get it done. I mean, no one likes gaps, but it's important to take your time because you could overdo it. And as with a lot of things with modeling, I've found that if you just kind of slow things down just a little bit, it turns out to be better. I suffer from rushing. Probably a lot of us do. I mean, we want to keep the project going, and it's a lot of work, and we know how much more time we have to do. And as much fun as we have with the hobby, it's kind of ironic that we want to get over it. And maybe it's just because we want to get to the next project, or we want to get to the painting part, or the decal part, or whatever part of the process is our favorite. I think with just human nature, we want to get through the part that's unpleasant or monotonous, and get to the fun part. And I think the trick, or anyway, for me with anything that I hate doing, I try to learn to relish the parts that I generally don't like. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I mean, to really dive into it, process and things that you don't like, it's better just to embrace them, and say, okay, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to do this really well. I'm going to do it right. And then I will feel good that when it'll make me feel even better when it's over. I'm not so sure how much sense that makes to you guys, but to me, it's gotten me through cleaning my room. It's gotten me through doing homework when I was a kid. It got me through filling out insurance paperwork and dealing with an insurance company, or calling the bank to, all those things we just avoid. They say don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. That's kind of like the philosophy there that I'm kind of grasping here. I don't know if that helps, but you can apply that kind of a thing to modeling too, I suppose, like this here. Who likes to do this? Anyway, I'm just filling the airspace there while you watch me sand this. I just want to document kind of how I do this. Just so you can maybe see how I get a feel for it. Okay, so right now I'm closing my eyes and I'm feeling this gap right there. I'm just feeling this, and I can barely feel it. I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm trying to be very, very careful and slow. I don't want to get the sand stick on the Bussard collector. That would be disastrous, to say the least. Okay, that's feeling really nice. And here on the other side, it needs a little bit more as well. I mean, I know this is kind of boring probably to watch for some of you, but this is an important step. Look, I almost got onto the chiller grill there. That would have been bad. Okay, so these are pretty good. Let's go to the other side. All right, so I did a little stop there and did the other side there, and took care of this one. So the last thing to document here is just this middle part. So for this part here, I'm using the lighter sanding stick. There's not so much happening here. There was on the other side, but you know what? It is pretty rough, so I'm going to give it a few passes with the rough one just to kind of get it started. Being very, very careful here. This sanding stick is like 150 grit, like I was saying, and it can take it off a surprising amount of material. So you got to be very careful. And even this lighter one too, it works pretty quickly because we're really not removing that much material here off of this piece. It looks like a lot because we're zoomed in and it's such a small area and it's noticeable because we can see it. But in reality, we're really not removing that much stuff. And what I want to avoid is, shaving this down too much because we get a light spot. Even though it is light blocked on the inside, you can still see this is bare plastic. So we might even have to put a little bit of a dark primer over that. But I'll be using the glazed spot putty, which is a darker material, and will serve to light block some of it. But yeah, just for various reasons, you obviously don't want to take off too much. You can always shave off more. You can never put stuff back. That's the kind of the philosophy here that we need to remember. Okay, that's pretty good. So now we're going to show there. You can see there that ridge is no longer there. We took it down, and the same over on this side. You can see that that is nice and clean. So now the trick is to use the sanding needle, and I can feel it. There is a little bit of a ridge there. Just very short back and forth strokes here. Move on to the next ridge. And again, it's not 100% perfect, but you can see this needle gets in there just right. So you don't want to go too big here because it will start sanding off where you've already done. We just want to be down in that little groove. It does not need to be perfect. The trick here, though, is I want to try to avoid doing any putty in here if I can, but I don't think that's going to be a possibility because we do tend to get light leaks coming through these little gaps. All right. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick little light test, and I will come right back and show you so we can see what kind of light leaks, if any, we're working with. So stand by. All right, it's having a hard time focusing, but we can see a little bit of a light spot there, and you can see a little bit of that gap right there where we talked about. So it turned out that we did rub off some paint, so that will have to be re-light blocked in a little bit there. So I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of a black coat over there. But the good news is I'm not seeing too much light leaking out of the seam there. We're still going to go ahead, though, and do some putty. And that should be fine. In fact, the putty might be enough to cover it. No, I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit of black there. So yeah, we're gonna coat it with a little black paint, just very, very light coat. Let that dry real quick, and then we'll put some putty on and come back and take a look. But yeah, just very quickly going around just to demonstrate we don't have any light leaks. Maybe just a very tiny bit right there. Sorry, it's having a hard time focusing. There we go. But she looks really good. Now there was one, oh yeah, it is this one. The back, you can see that gap there, so I'm going to have to do something about that. We'll figure that out though. Okay. All right, well, yeah, that's pretty much it for the sanding, everyone. So you can see there, it took about, altogether, maybe about 30 minutes to sand this, both, all these parts there, both nacelles, and get it really nice. So well worth the effort, the time, and we won't have to worry about that looking weird. It's going to look nice and clean. So, okay, stand by. Okay, got the little bit of the black paint on there, and then I sanded it down, and a lot of it came off, but I think it should be okay because we're going to be putting this putty on. So I just wanted to document this a little bit, and I've got very little putty on the palette knife here. and it's already starting to dry. This spot glaze putty, you can pick it up at Walmart. Target probably has it. It's just glaze spot putty. I think that's what it was called. Let's double check. Glazing and spot putty. Yep, from Bondo. It's a very inexpensive putty, and it's really good for these small gaps. It sands down really well. It dries extremely fast. Like, you got maybe a couple of minutes to work with it before you have to kind of redo it. Now this part right there in the front, the other nacelle I did gave me a bit of a hard time, and I want to get it right. But I got to be very careful not to get it on the Bussard collector. There we go. Okay. Just spread this out a little bit more. Again, we don't need much. We're just filling a very tiny gap. We're just basically just trying to make the seam disappear. It's not really filling a gap. I'll just put a little bit here. Oh, I didn't sand this part. So I didn't really let this paint dry very long. It was only 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Put a very little bit of paint. And I'm just doing this to get rid of some of that excess paint, because it did go on pretty thick. In fact, sanding kind of a good amount of it off. But it should be okay. Let's wipe down our knife. Okay. Another thing about this putty here, you want to make sure that you've got a pretty well ventilated room. This stuff is really potent. Like, I only have a little bit there. You can see down here on my little palette here that I've constructed from a little piece of styrene and some tape. And it's very potent. I can really smell it. And then you also want to make sure you don't touch this stuff with your bare skin. If you're going to use your finger to smooth it out, like, you know, a lot of us like to do that, definitely wear a glove. Wear a latex glove or something, because there are chemicals in here that can be bad for you. You want to make sure you protect yourself if you're going to be touching these things. Maybe even wear a mask, breathing mask. But anyway, okay. So this should take, well, about I'll give it about a good 5-10 minutes, a good 10 minutes maybe to dry. You can see I was putting very little, but you can see like I've made little mountains of this stuff. So it has to get sanded down, and that should go right into those seams, and we won't need a second coat. And then once that's dry, we will decant some of the light gray spray paint from here and use a brush and apply it over the stuff. And then we can proceed with putting the decals on these nacelles. So that will be fun. Well, we'll have to put the clear coat on there, of course. So yeah, I'm probably going to go to the hobby store and get a couple cans of the matte clear coat. Usually I use the Duplicolor, but there's a semi kind of sheen to that. And again, as we do want to coat this with a complete matte thing at the complete matte clear coat at the end, because the decals are so shiny. So, all right, guys, we will come right back. See you soon.